Welcome back, Eigen family.
Welcome.
So, we have a episode today on more occult phenomena.
Yes. Well, occult.
I call it a cult.
Let's just flat out and say it. UFO.
So,
or known in the community UAVs.
UAVs. That's the new term.
Yeah.
But first, Juan, before we get into it, let's go ahead and tell our audience, guys, please like, share, comment, subscribe. If you haven't already, check us out on Eigenbros.com, Eigenbros on Twitter, Eigenbros Instagram, and Eigenbros2 on TikTok. And then also shout out to the patrons. We greatly appreciate you guys. So if you all are interested in supporting us,
Yes.
make sure to check out patreon.com/Eigenbros.
Yes. Thank you so much to the listeners, and let's get to it.
Yes.
What are we talking about? We're talking about Oumuamua, spelled O-U-M-U-A.
Look at that. Said right the first time.
M-U-A. And as the title suggests, this may be the first ever scientifically cataloged intergalactic vehicle to enter our solar system.
He's jumping right to it, huh?
Yeah. Well, would you say that that's kind of what this scientific paper does? Or tries to elucidate, I guess?
It does a bit. So the paper by Avi Loeb.
Spell his name for the listeners.
So that's A-V-I-L-O-E-B. Avi Loeb, or Abraham Loeb, as his birth certificate says.
Damn, you found his birth certificate?
No, I didn't go to all that, but his real name is Abraham.
Yeah.
He's an Israeli-American physicist. Teaches at Harvard. So, he's kind of one of these upper echelon physics guys, But anyway, what was I saying? Avi Loeb, he's wrote a paper on Oumuamua.
Yeah, it's called Spin Up and Disruption of Interstellar Asteroids by Mechanical Torques and Implications for 11-2017 U1, quote-unquote,
which is Oumuamua.
Yeah, and this is by Diem Huang at Korea Astronomy and Space Science Institute. Abraham Loeb, which is like Terence was saying.
Is he the advisor on it?
He's the second author.
Oh, second author.
At the Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. And A. Lazarian at the Astronomy Department at UW-Madison, so University of Wisconsin. And then Zhuangyan Cho, Department of Astronomy and Space Science at Chungnam National University. I'm trying, people.
It's always good to see one speaking Chinese.
In Korea. Yeah, so... Yeah, very interesting paper. This was published in the archives in 2018. And I mean, you see a lot of heavy hitters on here, right? This is legitimate institutions, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The researchers I don't know about.
No, not.
But I don't know really researchers like that.
Right. That's not our. This is not our forte. Yeah. This is not astronomy. Is not. These are astronomers we're talking about.
Yeah. Me and Juan are venturing lightly into territory we're not super familiar with. So,
but actually, this kind of has to do a little bit. If you watched our episode last week, and I know it got big numbers on it, but maybe a couple weeks ago.
Which one?
Of where we were talking about.
Last week was Wilfred Riley.
Sorry, like a couple weeks ago, I guess, about what different fields in physics do.
Yeah. This
is literally cataloging what astronomers do, which is see stuff in the sky and catalog it.
Right.
And this is one example of that. And in 2018, they found an interesting interstellar object, the detection of the first interstellar object, Oumuamua, by the Pan-STARRS survey. And it had an elongated shape with an quote-unquote extreme axial ratio, which made it mysterious and suggested that it may be an elongated object or a contact binary. And its strange shape kind of had people looking at it, but it also had some rotation to it.
That was extrapolated from the data, I believe. I watched a podcast, Mindscape, with Sean Carroll. Avi Loeb was on there, and he was speaking about extrapolating that it was flat, because I believe it was supposed to be spinning, and
I'm going to preface this spinning because. Go ahead.
I'm going to preface this with a warning of I'm not entirely sure if this is true. I'm just extrapolating based on what I think I understood from it. But they took some readings, I believe, of luminescence or something, or maybe reflectance. I don't know what you would call it. But if you imagine a spinning object with a light shine on it, as it spins, you should get more light as the full surface area of the face comes into contact with the light. And then as it spins, you'll see the light or the luminosity or whatever decrease.
Yeah.
So then as it's spinning, it should be like a sinusoidal pattern of luminosity, let's say.
Yeah.
So I believe that's how they got the data that it was spinning, because of the luminosity graphs. Or something like that. Some light metric that was measured.
And they were able to extrapolate its shape, modeling or building a model of like the intensity, like what would give you the same type of intensity, and they reached I think a shape of rectangular kind of flat surface.
I think just a flat surface, maybe like a pancake.
Yeah,
is what they extrapolated it to.
Yeah.
It's like a flying saucer, even.
Yeah. But let me do. Should we do them a favor? Should I kind of gloss over the abstract for the listeners?
Sure.
Yeah, we have a car alarm going off, but okay, here we go.
They shouldn't hear it.
Has opened a new. So here we go. The discovery of the first interstellar asteroid object, Oumuamua, has opened a new era for research on interstellar objects. In this paper, they studied the rotational dynamics of the interstellar asteroids (ISAs) of irregular shapes moving through the interstellar gas. We find that regular mechanical torques resulting from the bombardment of gas flow in a regular body could be important for the dynamics and destruction of ISAs. Mechanical torques can spin up the ISA, resulting in a breakup of the original ISA into small binary asteroids. When the rotation rate exceeds a critical frequency, we find that the breakup of timescale is short for ISAs of highly irregular shapes and low tensile strength. We apply results to the first observed ISA, Oumuamua, and suggest that its extreme elongated shape may originate from a reassembly of the binary fragments due to gravity along its journey in the interstellar medium. And
what does ISA mean again?
Interstellar asteroid.
Okay.
Yeah, they're saying, finally, we discussed the survival possibility of high-velocity asteroids presumably formed by tidal disruption, blah, blah. They kind of get into it. But one of the propositions that they kind of like, as the community went back and forth on this object, the interesting thing was that they noted that on its orbit out, or I guess on its path out, it carried some acceleration.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the kind of interesting feature about this, right?
Yes, so I actually have this in the notes. So if you look there, I want to have a section on there called Reasons For. So it's they basically said that there was an unexpected boost in speed and trajectory passing through the solar system. So Oumuamua is an interstellar object, as Juan noted, and as it passed Earth, the reason that it's kind of a strange object is because it actually there was a boost in acceleration as well, I think, as a deviation in its trajectory. So this is not completely absurd. So one explanation I found that it was most likely outgassing like a comet. So it's probably due to heating from the sun. So comets are objects that exist within our solar system that actually undergo this same kind of acceleration because they basically outgas. So, you can see the typical image in your mind of what a comet is. It's got the tail of dust and ice.
Yeah.
That dust and ice tail actually makes it so it accelerates. If you think about it, it's just basic physics momentum 101, right? PV or initial. Not PV, MV.
Yeah.
MV initial equals MV final, right? So if you imagine dust particles kicking out in one direction, then whatever object is attached to that, it's going to propel it in the opposite direction. Right, it's a reversed inelastic collision.
Yeah, change in momentum is equal to net force. You get M. It is a force, right?
Yeah, change in momentum is equal to net force. Yes, but
you have a force. So the interesting thing about it,
gives you an acceleration.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. The interesting thing about so basically, for those of you that might not understand here what's going on, the outgas process is what I believe to be water basically sort of turning into a gas, right? The ice turning into from solid to a gas, right? So it's changing phase, and it's the water is being expelled, right? So that's what's
So
giving
it's basically
it
a shedding mass. The asteroid is shedding mass, and then it's has a propulsive particle which gives it a velocity.
And this is from the sun heating it, right? The comet,
basically it's like it's outgassing is what it means. So or is what it says. So outgassing is just basically kind of what it sounds like. There's gases radiating off some surface, which is, in this case, it's the Oumuamua surface. Okay, so let's see. So it says Farnacci is the guy who did an analysis on this. And he says, this additional force we see on Oumuamua is very similar to the kind of perturbation we see in comets in our solar system, as I mentioned, which he says is a result of outgassing. And it says there's no coma or tail, which is composed of gas or dust. This is the tail that you see on comets, was visible even in high quality images, which is unusual for a comet. So that was one thing that made Oumuamua a little strange, was because this tail wasn't actually visible on the images.
Usually we can see them in comets, right?
Yeah,
Close
at least
enough.
in our solar system, we can see them on comets.
Yeah.
I guess that's because they have a lot of dust particles or a lot of ice, so it becomes really visible and easy to see. But computer simulations could not rule out a sparse cloud of larger coarse dust particles, which would remain undetected by Hubble or ground-based observatories. So this again actually makes it back to, okay, there's an explanation that could potentially be where the lack of a corona not a corona, what's it called? The lack of a tail, doesn't necessarily mean it's this UFO or alien-like object, right?
Right.
They said that they couldn't rule out any large, coarse dust particles. They wouldn't be visible on the camera. So you can't say that. You can't say just because you don't see those, it must be an alien object. So basically, those were the main reasons for why Oumuamua was strange. And that's really not very compelling evidence, I would say, to call it a alien UFO or alien object. So it's kind of interesting. So then I got to the point where I was wondering, why would anybody even say this is a UFO object? It seems really irresponsible to call it that, because just based on the fact that it accelerates, which we already see with comets, and it changed trajectory, which you can get if you have an acceleration. So then that brings the point.
And the strange geometry. At least that's what Loeb argues, right?
Yeah, because it's a flat disc or something.
Yeah, because they're saying that doesn't necessarily occur a lot. You get not as smooth surfaces.
But then my question is, why would you think it's so strange, since it's the first interstellar object we've literally detected?
Yeah.
So it's kind of premature to call it something when this is literally the first interstellar object we've ever seen. Right. So it's like, of course, there was going to be some anomalous things happening here, because it could have developed in a completely different solar system, right? And it did. So it's like, I don't know why he would extrapolate that.
Sample size of 1.
Yeah. So then I started wondering, okay, why would Avi Loeb even go down this rabbit trail of extraterrestrial stuff?
Oh, here we go. Terence is going to psychoanalyze Avi Loeb.
Pretty much. So
he's going to say he was visited by extraterrestrials.
So it was interesting to me, because I started saying, okay, I wonder why this guy would do this. So, and because he's a Harvard professor. He should be smart, at least in theory. But yeah, I started looking through his publications. And some of his publications before the Oumuamua specifically. So I actually have a list of some publication titles on here. So I have reasons. It's under the reasons against section right here on the notes. And I just gathered a list of publication titles he had before he discovered Oumuamua. So I'll read some of them. So one of the names for a publication is The Interaction of Relativistic Spacecrafts with Interstellar Medium. And keep in mind, this is all before Oumuamua. Another one is Astrophysical Russian Dolls. Another one is stability of a light sail riding on a laser beam.
Which is his, but to give him credit, that's actually his research.
Yeah, he invented the light sail.
Yeah.
Fast radio bursts from extragalactic light sails. We examined. I put a parentheses here telling what the first part of the abstract is. It says we examined the possibility that fast radio bursts or originate from the activity of extragalactic civilizations. Another paper he has called The Natural and Artificial Spectral Edges in Exoplanets. The abstract on this one says, technological civilizations may rely upon large-scale photovoltaic arrays to harness energy from their host star. Another one is called Cosmic Modesty. The richness of the universe teaches us modesty and guides us to search for both primitive and intelligent forms of life elsewhere without prejudice.
Oh, no.
So the list goes on, but I just got some of those salacious titles. I think I even sent you one that was kind of funny.
Yeah, you did.
Where I basically told Juan this is not looking good.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, not looking too good for my friend out here because that's delving into very wooey territory.
Yeah, I say bad sign. There's another paper here I sent to Juan. The first one I sent to him, it says, experimental tests of spirituality. We currently harness technologies that could shed new light on old philosophical questions, such as whether our minds entail anything beyond our body or whether our moral values reflect universal truth. So, needless to say...
Now, if you're scientifically rigorous, you would say, okay, I'm done listening to this guy.
Yeah. Pretty much it would be one of these things where you are preparing yourself for the worst. Because he has the very energy of a crank scientist in that sense, where he's... maybe not crank, because he's a valid professor at Harvard.
I mean, bro,
right?
I mean, the light sail, that's no small feat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a legit idea.
Yeah.
But this is the problem I've noticed. So the real psychology here that I really wanted to pinpoint, which I suspected was the issue, he has the same psychology, it sounds like, as conspiracy guys. So it's the...
Oh, true. So you're talking about him when he went on other shows. Like I think he went on Sean and Joe.
He went on
Rogan.
Sean, Joe Rogan. He went on Lex Friedman.
Yes.
He's been on several people.
He did the circuit.
Watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he has a very conspiratorial framework of analyzing data.
Yes.
In the sense that he starts with the conclusion and he formulates the data to the conclusion. So an example of that would be a good example of that is his fast radio bursts from extragalactic sails. So of course he invented the light sail. So now everything he sees is a light sail from another galaxy. So he's literally analyzing fast radio bursts. So fast radio bursts, actually, there was a legitimate theory. We actually even talked about this on one episode where they figured out, or they believe that fast radio bursts might be from magnetars, which are these really powerful, basically magnetic stars. But of course, Avi Loeb, since he deals with light sails, he likes aliens and extraterrestrials. He tried to fit that data of the anomalous characteristics of a fast radio burst to being light sails from extragalactic civilizations.
Yes.
So he's extrapolating all these things by already having a conclusion and just taking anomalous things and fitting them to whatever his conclusion is. And you can see this in so many of his papers that it's just like this guy has a clear love of light sails and aliens, basically.
Yeah.
All of his papers have to do with light sails and aliens.
Yes.
So I'm like, that's not really the mark of a good physicist to me. That's someone who's really trying to fit whatever they see into a particular paradigm.
Yes.
And he also seems kind of, and I also put in here, Avi Loeb wants that clout.
He says he's a clout. Terence is saying he's a clout chaser.
Yeah, I think he could be a clout chaser as well because one reason is...
for those of you that don't know what clout is, it's basically, in the scientific world, it's like citation. He's a citation chaser.
Well, not even that. I think he's more of a actual like media clout.
Yeah, but I'm saying
because scientists don't really buy into the whole alien.
No, they don't. But I'm saying like the closest analogy to like as in scientific terms is like a citation, like
citation whore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but let's in more colorful language, as Terence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Avi Loeb. So one thing is he's got his clout because he's also trying to sell books. And I looked on Amazon, and his book was actually one of the top-selling books, physics books at least. I don't know if it's maybe science books, but one of the top-selling books on Amazon. He's got the number 1, the number 2, and the number 4 spot for the audiobook, the Kindle, and then the hardback version. So this alien stuff sells real well.
Yeah.
And he has tons of other books and appearances. He seems really preoccupied with the fame of it all and has a lot of things related to aliens and UFOs, and he's been doing it before Oumuamua even.
Yeah.
So it seems like he has a kind of agenda. And you can also see, I wanted to take a clip, but I didn't have enough time. He even kind of, it's like he's such a clear example of a projector as well.
Okay.
So on the Joe Rogan podcast, he kept saying like scientists. He's like scientists don't want to they don't want to explore things, or they're not open minded because they just want the what do you call it, the
simple explanation.
No, he's like they just want the ability to look intelligent and look good in front of people. I'm like, he's literally just describing himself. Because his explanation, he said it so many times, and it's like he's like they're trying to bolster their reputations and things, and like I'm like, it looks more like you're trying to do that, buddy, because he's kind of
compensating.
He's so obsessed with alien stuff. He fits it into all of his research, and that's just not a mark of someone who's really scientifically minded to me. I mean, maybe you can argue that it works sometimes. Like Dirac's classic example of kind of like, well, not really, because I don't know if he comes up with the conclusions, but I don't know if there is a classic example.
He doesn't seem to be open to like all possibilities, you're saying.
No, I think he just seems to be hell-bent on a particular area of interest. But it's like an area of interest where he forces the conclusion with anything that's anomalous data.
Yeah.
Like he does decent research, like the paper he had made sense, but then he always tries to fit that into, it could be aliens. Yeah. If there's any anomalous effect, his question always will result in this is either aliens or alien light sails somehow.
Well, then this guy's a comedic genius.
I think he's good at getting the clout because he knows aliens sell,
and
he knows the general public latches onto stories like that.
Yeah, true.
And it's a classic. They proved that with Oumuamua.
Yeah.
Again, so
I mean, it got views.
It got many views.
It got many views. People were like, people were like, this is like the first evidence of. I don't know. I saw this circulating on TikTok. Just like scientists discovered the first alien spaceship that came into the solar system, and everybody ignored it.
Right.
And it's like, that's not really.
This is what happens, right?
Yeah.
He knows it sells, and I think he's a clout chaser. So I'm going to say I have a suspicion Avi Loeb is a clout chaser. I know he also has a little bit of a reputation among some physicists. I follow some guys like Will Kinney, and he basically rages about Avi Loeb.
What did he say?
He just said he had a Twitter post where Avi was talking about some alien stuff, and then he just put stop.
Wow.
And he's like a legit guy too. He's got like a bunch of citations on papers.
Avi or the
guy who I follow on Twitter, Will Kinney. Shout out to Will. I don't even know if he watched the podcast because it was interesting. He was actually following us before I followed him. I didn't know who he was. But shout out to Will. It's just interesting. And I think he's a clout chaser. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's Terrence's verdict.
Of course, I wish I had better receipts than just that, but you know, there's only so much you can do if you prepare for only a little bit.
I like to think here at the Eigenbros, we want to believe.
We do, but I need good evidence.
Come on, you can't get any better evidence than this. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean he did concede, right? I think the most interesting interview he had was with Sean Carroll, because Sean Carroll is also a scientist, and he is he tried to take a rigorous approach. And then if you listen to the interview with him, just look up Sean Carroll's podcast,
Yeah, Sean
mindscape.
Carroll's a little bit wavery for me though, because
Yeah.
he's a little bit of a believer kind of guy. I think he can't really see.
I mean, he lets some things slide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he kind of was being real soft with Avi, I felt.
So you think he was lowballing him?
Yeah, because he was kind of saying like it's a reasonable paper and it's just got this one little thing at the end, and I was like,
I mean, the paper
Sean's a little bit of a believer. He's a believer,
but the paper is reasonable, though.
It is. The paper was good, but it's also the things that are surrounding it. Really, it's like I wish he would have asked him about the whole why does all your papers have to do with aliens?
Yeah.
Well, how is it that every conclusion is aliens or light sails? Just some more questions along those lines. Like, why is he so obsessed with these particular things? And he's always ham-fisting it into his research somehow.
True. Yeah.
And then, of course, Joe Rogan can't really ask any questions because he's not even anywhere close to the field. So he just goes with whatever Avi says. Right?
Yeah, then Joe starts asking, like, you ever thought about taking DMT on one of these light rails or light sails? Or you ever think about putting a chimp on a light sail? What else? What else could Joe Rogan ask?
It's entirely possible light sails exist.
Yeah. No, but more interesting to me was that this guy came up with the concept of like light sails. I thought he was just like I hate to say it, but I didn't know his credentials.
Yeah.
When I found out about that he was the person, or he was one of the people responsible for inventing the light sail. For those of you that don't know,
it's also kind of funny. You just made me remember too that on the JRE podcast with Andrew Schultz and Charlemagne, Andrew basically thought he invented the light sail.
Oh, I know that's. Yeah, if you go back to that episode.
We always kind of make fun of Andrew Schultz because he thinks he's way smarter than he is.
Yeah, he thinks
he saw a light sail on some article, I'm sure, and then he just thought he tried to act like he came up with the concept of a light sail on the JRE podcast.
He's like, whoa. Yeah. No, but yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure you've all seen pictures. For those of you that don't know, like light sails, what they are, they use lasers to basically shine a light at usually something that's like a gold foil or something, right? I don't know too much about light sails. All I know is the principle at which they operate, which is you shine a pulse of light towards a foil of some sort, something that has light mass.
Sure.
And it propels the momentum, or the energy exchange propels the craft forward. Right?
Yeah. You can think of it as almost like, if you imagine light, instead of like light as we normally would see it as like a ray, think of it as like a ball or a photon. The photons actually have momentum.
Yeah.
So you can think of it as like little BBs. If the BBs are hitting the light sail, then they should be hitting it forward.
Yeah.
So
it's like
it's just with photons.
Yeah, the analogy is like on Earth, right? It's a wind sail, basically. But the thing is, on Earth, you don't have wind resistance.
Right.
In space,
yeah.
You don't have wind resistance, so you can basically travel just as long as you keep hitting
right.
the sail.
And if you keep adding more momentum to the system, then you can actually keep accelerating it.
Yes.
Until you get some really high speeds, right?
Yeah.
And there's not going to be the resistance.
Well, the idea is that you hit close. Yeah, the idea is that you basically hit. I think he was saying like we can get to Alpha Centauri. The target right now that they're trying to get to is hitting Alpha Centauri. Is it Alpha Centauri?
I don't know.
Closest.
The closest star?
I think it's the closest star, right? Well, in the next, their target is to hit Alpha Centauri or whatever solar system is in the next 20 years. But to do that, they need to reach a third of the speed of light.
Oh.
So their target is to make a craft that can reach a third of the speed of light, so that they can hit that 20 mark.
And the light sail should be able to do it.
Yeah. I mean, right now, I think they're. What's the number that he threw out? They're not very close, I think. Proxima Centauri.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's literally in the name, right? Proxima Centauri.
It's approximately the closest.
But 20 years is very doable, I think. But reaching a third of the speed of light, that sounds like a difficult task.
Yeah. Also, I always wonder, like, what about debris and things that could potentially cross its path? Like, you could just destroy the whole sail.
That's true. And then you wouldn't even know until your signal goes dead, and you're
Right.
like, "What the fuck happened?"
That's one problem I always have with like light speed in movies.
Yeah.
Is I'm like, what if you're
Run
like,
into something.
what if you run into something, you just get decimated? But I was thinking that maybe a way to save it would be if you could just say if you reach light speed, you have to become massless or something, right? Because we know photons are massless, right? So then the
Well,
problem
hold on. If you're
usually-
accelerating at that, well, the only problem would be if you hit something that's a larger mass than you, right?
not if you're massless,
Oh yeah, because I guess if you're massless,
you just pass right through it,
you just pass right through it.
or you
Holy
get reflected
shit.
off of it or something. One
That's
of the two.
crazy. I never thought about that.
Yeah, that's what I was like. That's the only way it might get fixed.
You
at
you
least.
just pass through stuff.
Yeah, or you
phase through stuff?
Bro,
Yeah, would you actually phase through stuff if you go that fast?
I guess so. You would get lens, maybe. You can get lens, gravitationally lensed if the
Wow.
object's big enough. I guess we'd have to really think about that one.
I would have to think about that.
Yeah, but we'll just pretend you
Leave-
can go through it. Or
Let's
get
go into
reflected.
sci-fi realm for a second, okay? We're gonna go into speculation.
All right,
This is
all
part of the Eigenbros podcast. That we're
Mm-hmm.
coming into. I never really thought about that. That's kind of
Yeah.
wild. Yeah. Would you? Because I mean, if you look at, I guess the classic special relativity, Einstein special relativity
Mm-hmm.
equations, right? You're talking about this factor that you multiply your kind of like. Well, no, that
Which
think
equation
about
are you
time
talking
dilation and length
Yeah.
contraction.
I'm just talking about the fact that if you think of the Einstein maybe total energy expression, we have the rest energy,
Yeah.
and then we have the momentum energy, right?
Yeah.
It's like E squared equals MC to the full MC whole quantity squared
Yeah.
plus PC squared, maybe.
Plus like the rest mass.
Or it's
yeah.
MC squared whole quantity squared plus
Yeah.
PC squared.
Yeah, yeah.
Whole quantity squared, I should
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
And then what happens is the relativistic part
Dominates.
increases, right? So then,
Yeah.
so P squared is equal to what? That's equal to MV. So what happens? Let's not analyze it.
My
that
thing
way.
is
We
like
can look at
I
the-
wonder if it's like in the classical sense. I would imagine because initially I thought, oh, you're moving with so much energy that you'd basically become almost like an indestructible mass moving through space.
Yeah, but then imagine this, like in Star Wars. Then, if you accidentally pass through a planet, you just
You just
annihilated the whole
destroyed the
planet.
Well, I mean that's what happened in the newest Star Wars, where like they literally warp speed into a planet and they.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
Oh,
That pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah, because now you just ruined the whole thing. because
Yeah, that's why people.
There's no point of even a Death Star. Then you just keep warp speeding through planets, right? It's a lot
Yeah.
cheaper, probably.
Yeah, but then I started thinking about, your mass and the energy mass equivalence. Like your mass is proportional to your energy, right? So that means like it's almost like you are becoming this massive object.
Yeah.
So
and that's what the limiter is usually, right?
Yeah.
Because we're like, you can't really go past the speed of light because then you start to get this infinite relativistic mass. That's kind of
Yeah.
a misnomer.
Yeah,
We won't get too much into that, but
Right,
there's
right,
your mass isn't increasing, but the energy associated with the relativistic mass, it's like a parameter they call relativistic mass.
Yeah.
Just because
inertia. You can think about
yeah,
it.
yeah. But it's got to do with the equations, but that parameter then would scale to infinity if
Yeah.
you had a massive object going towards the speed of light. But that's why I said maybe you can get past that if you can become massless and basically become like a photon. So somehow separate out your mass from yourself somehow. I don't know, like with the Higgs mechanism or something maybe
Sure.
to go even more in sci-fi land.
Right. I think a more interesting case would be is if you somehow quantize your energies where you're no longer in a continuum, so now you start phasing through things. You know what I mean? Like you now like let's say you make yourself into a wave form. Or you start phase like
So you're like light then. You're like
you're basically like light. Yeah, you're like a
wave.
massless. Yeah,
almost
basically.
Okay.
But then muons have mass. You know what I mean? Like you're so
Yeah, true.
tiny or
Or at least I think
imperceptibly.
they
You
do.
still have mass, but it's very small, and
Yeah.
it'll still allow quantum effects to happen.
Yeah.
If you can somehow make your mass small enough, that'd probably make you more. You can probably phase through planets, pass through solid objects. That
Maybe.
way.
I don't know.
Right?
Because neutrinos do pass through us all the time, and I think they have mass.
Yeah,
and they travel
through the Earth.
I don't know if they travel at the speed of light or close to the speed of light. Let's look that up.
They travel, I would imagine, pretty darn close. Probably at a
I think
good
they
fraction.
do.
Like percentage-wise, I can't give you a number because I'm not a particle physicist or an astrophysicist. But man, that'd be cool. I think maybe that might be a better explanation for like warp speed in science fiction than just let's just go faster. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like actually maybe minimizing your energy and then allowing yourself to become like massless, or at least reducing your mass. Like a mass reduction kind of like device.
Call back to Salvatore.
Shout out to Salvatore Pi.
For the people not in the know, this is a shout out to Salvatore Pais, the UFO patent guy who claims he invented every major invention.
Yeah, but that is something interesting. I had not really given too much credence to.
What's that?
That would probably be the way to travel close to the speed of light, reduce your mass overall.
Yeah, maybe so. I just never understood. Like, I was like always thinking, how is it possible you're not going to hit anything? You know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you reduce your mass, you could just phase through things.
Yeah, maybe so.
Maybe
so.
Huh. Maybe he's on to something.
That's a next thing for Avi Loeb to take.
Yeah, reduce his mass.
Reduce mass light sail.
Extra galactic light sail.
Yeah, quantize the light sail. Quantize light sail, which I mean, I guess the laser is quantized already, but
anyway.
But the trick is for that you have to. I would imagine you'd have to also get a powerful laser. But I think the limiter he was saying was that the mass of the light sail also has to be the lowest it can possibly get to still take data wherever it goes to Proxima Centauri, for instance. And collect data.
The mass of the light sail needs to be the lowest possible you can get. Yeah.
With because I mean they're trying to probe. You're trying to probe a whole nother solar system. You know.
Yeah, whole other galaxy, or not whole other galaxy. I think it's still within our galaxy.
Yeah. Do you think it's worth sending? Do you think it's worth sending a probe to another galaxy like that? Like it seems
to another galaxy.
I mean, another system, like another solar system like that.
Sure. I think it's worth sending anything to
anywhere.
Well,
because, like, I mean, to me, it seems like the technology isn't there yet to where it might seem
Yeah, it won't, but
futile.
It's like one of these things. You know how back in the days they would send these missions off
in
like the 60s or something, and then they would get the data in like 2000, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you may not be alive, but, like...
That's just what
you still think it's worth it?
Yeah, it's like you just got to do some projects and then...
People in the future can collect the data. Right, because these things just take so long.
Yeah, sometimes. But I don't know if it would... I'd rather put concerted effort into trying to improve the technology before we even send a ship out.
Do both at the same time.
I guess you can. I guess you can diversify approaches.
You're never going to be good enough, right? You got to just do something.
True. The other interesting thing is they were talking about in one of the podcasts I was listening to with Avi. It was probably with Sean Carroll, but they were discussing the possibility of alien civilizations. Why would they send a probe? What is this thing, and why entertaining the idea of it being an extraterrestrial probe? Why would anybody? Why would they?
And what was their answer?
The answer was, the take was, wouldn't an advanced civilization put probes out there for resources? Like if you were a civilization, right? Yeah. You would send out probes to all corners of the nearest galaxy.
Sure.
I mean, we still live in a universe with scarce resources, right? But
of course, we're not even close to tapping our resources yet because we still have bunches of asteroids
exactly.
And meteorites and things with billions and billions of
natural resources that we haven't even touched yet.
Exactly.
I think private space industries like Elon Musk and them, they're looking at that with, dollar signs in their eyes because, that would just be a giant industry.
Boom
if
to
you
the
can mine,
economy. Yeah.
Mine asteroids, and we did an episode on that too. So check it out.
Yeah. For sure. And then I started thinking, well, the most interesting proposition would be that they started talking about the Fermi paradox and all these other things. And my one thing I'd never heard or considered was that the civilizations might be cloaking themselves.
Yeah, I think I've heard that before.
You've heard that before?
Yeah.
Like the reason why we don't see anything.
But they have to cloak a lot of stuff because then they have to also cloak their waste products as well too, right? Because you emit radiation. We were emitting radio waves and things all the time, so you'd have to find a way to do that.
Yeah.
You'd have to cloak like your interactions with light.
Yeah. Well, that's what Sean was saying. He was saying we should be hiding ourselves. We shouldn't be.
Okay.
We shouldn't be screaming in the jungle.
Yeah, that's an argument for sure, right?
Yeah, and I'm kind of coming around to that argument a little bit, right?
But at the end of the day, it's like, what are you gonna do? Just be scared all the time?
No. I mean, we don't have the technology to cloak ourselves now. So.
Yeah.
But there seems to that seems like the smartest thing to do, right? You don't want to be the macaque in the jungle screaming at the top of their lungs to predators that you were wounded and ready to eat. You know what I mean? You're like,
right, but we have this vision where maybe it's a naive vision, but since we've never made contact with another civilization, we just are starving to meet another civilization. It's like, when it's like being in quarantine when you're isolated for a long time. You're like just starving to have any kind of interaction.
Yeah.
So it's like the same thing with interplanetary or a civilization that hasn't encountered someone else, another civilization that arose independently. We just want to find anything outside of Earth.
And I think civilizations would require to be. You're almost required. I think to be social. I think to be successful, a successful
probably.
species. I would imagine you need to.
Yeah, we tried to think of some counters to this
we did
before, but I think we came up with some decent ones.
Because I honestly can't conceptualize a possibility unless you become a species that literally is immortal.
Maybe,
which is, I guess, possible, but
because also think of it as it could have been an evolution, right? Because think about this already with our biology.
Sure.
Let's say we start out with single-celled organisms. God, I cannot speak. We start out with single-celled organisms first, right? That single-celled organism turns into a multicellular organism. That multicellular organism turns into an animal or person. Those animals and people formulate tribes.
Groups,
Yeah, and then those tribes formulate, let's say, like a planet or something.
They formulate. Well, those tribes form a society, and then society forms a civilization, and then civilization forms.
You can keep going up and up and up.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just the evolution of it, where you maybe, let's say, if you get really advanced, where you start to colonize a bunch of planets.
Yeah.
You become this more singular unit somehow, and then it looks maybe selfish because, it manifests like that in some way, but
it seems to be like we're moving towards a hive mind kind of. We want to be like a hive mind. Or we kind of.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Because a hive mind, you can almost think as like a singular organism.
Yeah.
Because they're all on the same page. It's multiple organisms, but if you think of like the Borg, for example, they all have the same vision.
I don't know what the Borg is.
Well, the Borg is a Star Trek race where they actually take any other race in the universe, and they actually get better by taking other races of the universe because they want to catalog them all.
Okay.
So they can know all their biology, they know all their history, they know all their mental processes, and they assimilate you is what they call it, and then they just become this ever more powerful entity because they're just assimilating every single race they come across, and then they become the Borg, and then they join the hive mind consciousness. So that person who gets assimilated, let's say from some species, now they become Borg, and then their consciousness is uploaded into the hive mind, and basically they think exactly the same as every other Borg, but they all have perfect knowledge of everything, of all the people who are in the Borg, So the more people you engulf, let's say, you now have a part of their consciousness inside of yourself. So they become extremely powerful because everybody knows everything that's happening with someone else at this same time.
Interesting. I feel like we're moving that way. Like as a species, we seem to be kind of preoccupied with like getting on the same page, or at least it seems to be like the path of like success for a species.
Right.
Right.
And it seems like it definitely seems like a step towards evolution in some sense, right?
Right.
It sucks because, of course, we're like, at least an evolution towards progress.
Right.
If that's the metric that we want to go with, which is probably what would happen, right?
Right.
For some reason, as humans, we have to always love and uphold progress, right? No matter what.
Yeah,
because
principle.
It ensures survival. So we always want to find better and better ways of survival. And maybe it's based on fear.
Well, the cost of, because I mean, you're reducing the transaction of like, the energy transaction of like, you're lowering the cost of energy of living, right?
Yeah.
Or we're trying to constantly reduce that. Like, in some sense, like, the economy we have right now bolsters that because, we have an exchange of, instead of like actually going out to hunt your food, you go work a stupid minimum wage job. And then for like $10 or $7 an hour, you basically take that money and then you can go buy, maybe instead of collecting all those ingredients that to make a burger, you can just go buy one.
Right.
For like half of your wages or 2/3 depending.
Right. And you can eat a burger every day if you want.
Yeah.
So you get these certain perks that you wouldn't be able to get if you had to like do all this stuff yourself.
Yeah,
right?
Civilization, I think, tries to reduce the overall cost. I mean, there's a reason why things are the way they are. And I think like moving from like the agricultural life was a pain in the ass. That's why we had the whole movement from agriculture to cities, right? So people, right? Like, I mean, the whole move to, or from agricultural lifestyles to the urban lifestyle or factory and all that stuff was the opportunity cost of not having to work on a farm and slave and toil every day.
I'm sick of this goddamn rooster.
I'm sick of this rooster. I'm sick of eating oats. I'm sick of eating eggs every day.
Right.
I want variety in my life, damn it. But that's truthfully the perks of like having a society and having other people around you, because you start specializing in like and
the
stuff like
things
that.
you really like, and you can do them continuously.
Yeah, because other people, we reduce costs for each other. We almost like subsidize the cost of things by all working together.
Right.
And like the larger extension, I think, would be becoming sort of like on this level, like autonomous, or having. I think the route that humans are moving towards is not necessarily us becoming autonomous, but creating a whole different other type of being.
Autonomous entity.
Yeah. And you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's the AI, artificial intelligence, right? Yeah. Because,
and I think we're more comfortable with that.
Yeah, because we don't want to do any work if we can, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're always in a battle, like you said, to basically reduce the energy cost
of living,
some sense. Yeah. So the ultimate energy, free energy, is to let someone else do it. That's not us. But of course, there's problems with that, like slavery. Like,
ethically,
you can't push it onto humans.
But robots aren't. Well, I guess
we can feel comfortable in thinking that they're not on the same levels as humans, or they're less valuable because they're just nuts and bolts. But
wow,
who knows?
I can't believe we're going to have that conversation at some point.
Right.
But
is robot consciousness still like legit? It's basically the next question.
No.
But let's say a robot is indistinguishable from a human. Then is it legit?
Shit, man.
It passes the Turing test and everything. It says I feel and I think and I have dreams. It's the whole, classic iRobot or.
I don't like this.
Yeah.
Why can't I just have a free lunch? Come on.
That's what we always want, right?
Free labor, man. We like making robots.
But we just gotta keep them dumb enough. That's why like specialized bots are really good.
Right.
Like pick and place bots can be faster than humans can.
Yeah.
But they're only relegated to a specific task. We know they're dumb because they literally can only do one thing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can keep them really good at doing menial tasks without needing the level of consciousness that's on the order of humans or better, or even on the order of like a cat.
Yeah.
Because even by then I think we would start to feel bad.
Yeah.
Then it's okay. Then I think it's okay. If we can allocate all of our labor to that, to those level of intelligence kind of beings, you can't really argue something being oppressed if it has a intelligence level lower than a cockroach, right?
Right. I'm oppressing a cockroach with my foot right now.
Yeah, people will just laugh at you. Nobody cares, right? We can easily dismiss a cockroach because we see it as a lesser being because its consciousness levels or its sentience, its awareness, self-awareness is nothing compared to us.
Yeah, and let's face it, we as mammals, we hate insects.
Right.
We don't fuck with insects.
Yeah, they're gross.
They're disgusting.
Yeah. Truly.
I was telling Terence, I was like, I think, unfortunately for me, if I saw an alien species that looked like that was insect-like, stood up and was sentient, and like did like weird noises, I would be like, kill it. I'm sorry, but there's just no way.
Like Starship Troopers. Have you seen that movie?
No.
Okay, well, Starship Troopers, they were battling insects, basically giant insects that were bigger than humans.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, they were like giant beetles, like those warrior beetles. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that truly, I think, hits at like the core. Like if you had cute mammalian aliens.
Yeah.
Like
giant
imagine
manatees or something.
Yeah, imagine
homies.
Imagine a race of hamsters.
Oh, they'd be great. Especially if they're just as fluffy as a normal hamster.
Yeah.
We would be definitely on board with hamsters.
Yeah, we'd be cool with that. I know we would be cool with that.
Yeah.
Except they'd be shitting everywhere, but it's fun.
But they're intelligent hamsters. Hopefully they made a
hamster
diapers.
Yeah, hamster diaper or something.
Yeah, they realize that pooping everywhere is not not sanitary. But no, that the appeal to me for that, creating like a sort of life forms that are robotic or whatever, is that we can also send them to probe other worlds.
Right. I think Michio even talked about this, where the most efficient way to propagate across the galaxy would be to send like replication drones or something. Right?
Oh, they did talk about this too.
Yeah, because
so they got it from Mikio, I guess.
Or
maybe it's something in the
it's
zeitgeist. Maybe it's something out there in the zeitgeist. Yeah.
Yeah, because Michio also took his like planetary classifications from someone else.
Sure.
But it gets attributed a lot to Michio because he's the only one who brought it into mainstream consciousness.
The propagator of ideas.
Yeah, lately.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like one of these things where the probe replicates. So if it goes to one planet, one probe goes to one planet, but it has the replication ability to make a copy of itself. Then it goes to that planet. The copy, or let's say it can make two of itself now. So then it can go to one planet. Or I'm sorry, each one can make a copy. So it goes to a planet, it replicates. The other one goes to a planet, that one replicates, so on and so forth. Then you have an exponential growth effect of where the probes can catalog more of, let's say, space or whatever, or more planets, whatever it's cataloging at an exponential rate, because 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 16, and it goes on from there.
Damn. It seems to me at some point we will reach a cyclical kind of nature where we will make robots, but then at some point we will also be so good that we can make like biological life, not only just like things out of constructing goods together.
Maybe
but
so.
Like imagine just making an organism.
Right.
And you let life, literally make life.
Yeah.
Because life is like
androids, basically. Then.
Well, not androids.
Not androids,
you would just be completely biological. You just you literally construct the DNA and gametes and.
Right. I'm thinking more along the lines of like an aliens android. So like the Ridley Scott.
Sure.
Aliens, or James Cameron, the aliens.
Gotcha.
'Cause they had androids that were robotic, but they had this organic kind of like system. Because remember, he had like the white fluid inside of him.
Yeah.
So he was basically like an organic kind of being, but he was an artificial organic being in some sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I'd imagine we'd reach that state where we can kind of do that as well, like construct life, because that seems to be, the ingredients are all over. The whole universe has the same pool of, I guess, elements, and therefore you have the same ingredients all over the universe, as opposed to like making something, like replicating something that's metallic. You might not have iron or a lot of iron in this one place.
Right.
I guess the same could be said about life, though, but who knows, man?
Yeah, we just don't know enough. We need a biologist.
But
Anyway,
we seems to be masters of our domain, and it would be, just that's probably the best way. I don't think humans are. I think we're trying desperately to reduce the cost of like us doing things.
yeah, we're always trying to reduce energy costs, right? We always want to be lazier and lazier as much as possible.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, me too. It's the mother invention.
It is.
Never trust a hard worker to invent anything good.
Exactly. Listen to Terence on this one because they will just make things more complicated. Yeah.
People who value hard work too much want to overdo things.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really do.
You always want to get the lazy guy to invent something.
Yeah, exactly.
Something good.
Because they'll if they could invent a perpetual motion machine, they would. Like,
right.
Yeah.
If they could just do it that one time to never do it again. Then,
yeah. That's literally the mother of invention. So thank those people. I think we need more of those thinkers out there too.
Yeah.
Because I truly think like people say like, work is like such a, people are like, I hear this, I know we're kind of getting into an aside now,
Okay.
but talking about some political stuff that I've been reading about lately. There's been a discussion on like people, have you heard this phrase, like people having jobs? Like, let's get people jobs.
Yeah, sure.
I'm like, why?
Jobs all the time.
I'm like, no. Why? Who cares about a job?
Just give people money.
Just give the people the money.
Yeah, true. It's UBI. You're a Yang Gang.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, give the people the damn money. Just who cares about the work? Like,
right.
At some point, I think our economy. I think we've had this discussion, but our economy is shifting entirely to like to views. Like humans have more leisure time, either because they're out of work, because they're automating everything, or whatever. But now money is being transferred into like views, right?
Views.
Like eyes. Like advertisers are paying for you to watch things, and like we're almost paying for.
Well, they're not paying for us to watch things. We're
sorry.
No, I don't.
They're
really
paying to
views are being converted into money. Is what
views
you
are.
mean.
Thank you. Yes,
Okay,
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not paying us shit.
Well, they're not paying us anything, but our our information about our demographics and stuff are being converted into money.
Yeah.
And so that money, in some way, I guess it's being argued right now, currently economically, that money should be funneled back so that people could kind of like. I mean, money is a.
But from who? Because the people who are paying or who are
well, I think companies like
getting
Google,
money from views.
Well, it's like Google, right?
Yeah, but they're just using that money for themselves. Why would they give it back?
Well, that's the thing. Google's now seeing that they're running into a problem.
In what sense?
Because they're generating. Your whole point as a company, I'd imagine, to function, is you're serving a customer base, right?
Sure.
But if your customer base has no money, then you won't survive. So companies like Google now are arguing for things like UBI in some sense to kind of get money back into the hands of people so that they can also get sort of price signaling of like, what's good and what isn't in some sense, or what people want so they can sort of figure out.
Okay.
We're entering a very interesting time in human history where we're being pushed out because of automation, and then also the economy is being restructured. No longer from this kind of how would you say, factory stuff into more entertainment retail stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Less hard labor, more high level frontal lobe stuff.
Yeah. And I'm waiting for the robot overlords. I'm just
the robot orgy.
I'm waiting so much for like robots to just be invented so I could just be chilling all day
in the human zoo.
Yeah. Who wouldn't just want to just do whatever they want,
That would be great if we can have. But then what would happen? They'd still find a way to just to hoard all the money, and like the powers that be would find a way to just still make us
work a little
somehow.
bit.
Now, if we're not working, they would make us miserable somehow by I don't know. I'm just pessimistic about
you
government.
The government institutions just try to
They always want to fuck you somehow.
The institutions do want to screw you in some way, but it'll be interesting. I think they're going to have to. concede at some point.
We'll see.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that's it. I think we kind of went on a tangent back.
Well, we said we needed to be said about Avi. He's not really interesting.
Yeah. So if you, I'm sorry for you Avi Loeb lovers. Yeah. He wasn't really that. How would you say you're giving him the crank label?
I don't want to give him a crank label. I just give him a cloud chaser label.
Okay. He's chasing citations. He's looking for.
But not even, because citations mean you actually have legit research. Probably.
He does.
He does, but like citations mean you're making some kind of groundbreaking work.
Bro,
I think
he did.
Huh?
Come on, don't disparage the man. He invented the light sail.
That's legit, but yeah.
All right. I mean, I'm gonna say he had an interesting take on it, on the light sail, and I liked the paper. I like that he's speculating. I think speculation is fun.
Yeah,
it's a little bit interesting.
Yeah. But when every single one of your papers is on extragalactic civilizations, you might want to chill a bit.
Very true. Yeah, very true. But with that being said, folks, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and are we on iTunes, by the way?
Yeah, we're in everywhere.
If you're an Apple user right now, go leave us a review. Go leave us a 5-star review.
Yes.
I think we're on science and education.
Apple actually annoys the shit out of me too, because they hold the podcast longer than anyone for some reason.
Oh, interesting.
Like when I distribute it out, they hold it for some reason hours and hours afterwards. So I can't even really release. I can't release the promotion stuff until Apple releases the podcast.
Gotcha.
So fuck you, Apple, once again.
We'll blame what's his name.
I hate Clubhouse as well because they're iOS only. So fuck all you Apple fuckers. Except the people who are in audience, you're good.
Yeah. But I'm saying if you're an iOS user like me, please go to iTunes. And
well, you're both.
I'm both. Yeah.
And you're an Android at heart, so you don't count.
I am. But like iTunes users, please go to our podcast. Look it up search it on iTunes Media, the podcast. Give us a 5-star review. We'll read it. I'm thinking about reading them, the reviews. Please leave a funny take on it if you like us. Put up our SEO, and we'll really appreciate that.
That's search engine optimization for those not in the know.
Yeah. And then also we have a Patreon if you liked what you heard.
So it's Patreon/Eigenbros or Patreon.com/Eigenbros. If you guys want to support your boys, $1.
Yeah, $1 a month.
That's all we need.
Yes.
Feed one of us.
Please. One of us. But thank you very much, folks. And I guess that's it.
That's it.
All right.
Good night.
See you.
Or good morning.